Hello everyone, no matter where you are in the world, whether it's a good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, I extend a warm welcome to all of you who joined us from various regions today. Welcome to the virtual session of Bella Vista and Sydney Salesforce Developer Group. Thank you for registering and being a part of today's session. We are privileged to have Aditya Verma, a Salesforce technical lead, here with us today. He will be sharing a valuable insights about introduction and advantage of GraphQL API and a real-time demo. Before proceed, let me introduce myself. I am Shaktivel Madhes and a senior Salesforce developer at Tech4 Services and also a community group leader for the Bella Vista area in Western Sydney, Australia. I am actively available on social channels, so feel free to reach out to me. During the session, please use the chat questions you may have, and we will have a Q&A discussion afterward. Without any further delay, I will now hand over the virtual stage to Aditya. Over to you, Aditya. Please feel free to share your screen and start your session. And stop sharing.
Thank you, Shaktivel. Hi all, thanks for joining this session, and thank you for Shaktivel to giving the chance to speak in his community. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope everyone will be seeing my screen.
Yes, Aditya, see your screen.
So let's go into the topic, the new feature GraphQL API in Salesforce ecosystem for the developers. So let's look at today's agenda. I will cover what is GraphQL APIs and what are the advantages of the GraphQL APIs, and further we will see data shape and demo, and finally we will look at GraphQL wire adapter and real-time demo. And a quick introduction about myself. I am Aditya Verma. I am a Salesforce technical lead at Apistoki, and I'm 10 times certified and Trailblazer mentor. You can reach out me LinkedIn or Twitter. Let's go to the topic. What is GraphQL API? A GraphQL API is a powerful query language and which gives the power to the client to ask what exactly is needed in the effective and efficient manner. In the Salesforce, this GraphQL API we are accessing in LWC to fetching the data from Salesforce objects. This GraphQL API is not invented by Salesforce. It is already a popular API in the market. This was invented by Facebook in 2015 and they're providing public open API resources. So many companies already adapted these features. And coming to Salesforce, Salesforce has released the beta version in summer 2022 and they are making general available starts from summer 2023. Here we are not discussing about how to implement these GraphQL APIs. We are just consuming whatever Salesforce is providing. Here Salesforce is providing single endpoint URL. Using that endpoint URL, you can access all the resources that can be aggregated. These aggregations will help to you reduce the round trips from client to server, and it will give you set of related resources in single request. And the next thing, whatever field they are selected in the query, based on that they will get the response. It won't give you unnecessary data. And the next thing, schema driven and enable introspection. If external developer need to access Salesforce as object schema details, as he can access those details by using GraphQL API. And the last thing, GraphQL wire adapter. Using this feature, you can access GraphQL API schema in your Lightning Web Components. Right now, it's a beta version. There will taking general available starting from Spring 24. And let's see what are the advantages of the GraphQL API. I will show you one of the image. So currently, the external developers they are accessing different objects data by hitting different APIs. It is a time consumption and difficult to maintain. But now, by using GraphQL API, we can access all these object related data in single request. So this is the biggest advantage of the GraphQL API. For suppose we are building applications, at the end, we are expecting good performance for end users. So we can achieve one way to reducing network trips and reducing unnecessary data sending for client to server, since each additional round trip adds latency. This issue mainly causes for mobile users who has limited bandwidth and connectivity. By using GraphQL APIs, we can access all this data, whatever app need in single request. So you can build applications with incredible performance and no data waste. This GraphQL APIs is a much more performance than those traditional REST API calls. And the next thing is filters. So currently we are implementing logics in server side, right? But we don't need to implement any logic on server side. We can directly implement these filter logics in directly client side, because this GraphQL queries will support filter conditions. So it will, in case in further they need to change any fields or filter logics, as they can change in client side only. This will reducing the time and cost. The next thing is mutations. So right now, this mutations is not available in Salesforce. Still, it's in implementation phase, and they are planning to release this mutation operation in next releases. So using this, we can perform all CRUD operations like creating, deleting, updating, and inserting. These are the advantages. Let's see the data share. So a GraphQL API server represents the data uh, in which the variant response in the form of query. But how the SQL will works, right? I think this is the way the data traverses relationships in GraphQL query. And this GraphQL API server has a execution types like schema parsing, query parsing, and query execution. So once you are executing your GraphQL query, uh, this will a schema parsing which happens. The data can be read and they understand the relationships. So it can handle by compiler does for you. Okay, and the next thing query parsing, and final thing is query execution. These are the standard steps any GraphQL API server is implementing, since Salesforce has implemented same steps in the GraphQL API server. And here there is a operation types, queries, mutations, subscriptions. Right now we have only queries. Mutations and subscriptions is not yet in Salesforce. These mutations they are planning to release in Spring 24. So let's wait for Spring 24. We have only queries. In the queries, we can write on single object, or we can write multiple objects, or we can write child to parent or parent to child. Let's see the basic GraphQL query. I will show you in directly. I will explain you this tool later. I will first explain the query. Okay. So first I'm defining operation type here, query. It's the entry point of the schema, and the next all accounts is a operation name. Okay. So it means SQL to retrieve all accounts from your system. Okay. And in your filter conditions, if you want to pass dynamic values, then you can define those dynamic values in operation name level. Okay, so you need to define dollar variable and along with scalar field type. I will explain you this scalar field type later. Okay, so then I'm querying API family here. Here API family is called UA API. Each API family called as top level field query type. It supports the entry point of the API family. Here UAPI is the entry point of the API family, and it contains only API family that is right now supporting in the GraphQL schema. And it has a 4 fields: queries, aggregate, object info, related list by name. Whatever field you're selecting, based on that, the set of data is querying by using UAPI family. In this scenario, I'm taking query. Okay, I'm defining query field. Is type is record query. Okay, this record query will allows to you write query on S objects with filter conditions, and this record query contains only one field for each UI supported objects with object level security and field level security for user. And here, whatever all S objects in Salesforce are, it's in a record query, it's in a fields. Okay. Here I'm selecting account field. Okay. And these S object contains corresponding filter types is created in the schema. Okay. These filter types, how we defining? You just define as a arguments. Okay. Here, where, order by, first, after, and score. These are all the arguments. Okay. If suppose I am defining where, then example account type is matching with account filter by. If I am suppose defining order by, then account type is matching with account order by. Once I'm defining account, then is type is account connection. So here I'm taking field account, right? So its type is account connection. If I'm supposed taking contact, then is type is contact connection. So in the account connection, there is again has a three fields: edges, total count, page info. Okay. So in the edges, it contains record, and it's have cursor and node. Okay. So we are not defining cursor. Okay. So we are just defining node. These edges and nodes are a special standard syntax, and Salesforce is included special specification called relax cursor connection. Using that, we can perform pagination in a proper way. So next we are defining fields. So ID is the unique identifier. Other than ID, whatever fields you're defining, we need to define field along with value. Okay. So suppose I'm taking name. Okay. Name is a field. Is type is string value. Okay. In that again, three fields: value, display value, label. Okay. Suppose I'm taking currency field like amount, then its type is currency value, and it contains three fields: value, display value, format. So I will show you where we need to find these details. Okay. Then I'm taking total count. By default, GraphQL query will give you only 10 records in the response. If you want to know how many records is querying by the query, so that count will be in the total count. And the next thing, page info. Page info contains the related position information, which entire records it the current page is located, and it contains hand cursor and start cursor. Okay, so using these details, we can perform pagination. And one more thing here, so we are not defining, I mean in the edge there is a cursor and node. Okay, I'm not defining cursor. Okay, but in the standard functionality, it will directly show you those details in page info. Okay, start cursor and end cursor. For suppose you are getting in the response 10 records. Okay, the starting record cursor ID, the ending record cursor ID will be stored in here. And here one more two things, first and after. Okay, here first in Salesforce is nothing but limit. Okay, and after in Salesforce it is nothing but offset. So this is the basic query, and however you designed your query, the result exactly same format that for you. Okay, so I'm define my query. I will show you the format. Okay, so in the response, you will get in an object format with data properties and error properties. Okay, here we don't see any 400 messages. Okay, we are always get 200, but if it's fail, those details will be stored in the error. If it's success, those details will be in the data. So in the data, same however you designed your GraphQL query, same format you will get in the response. UI APIs, query, account, edges. Edges is a list of records, and in the edges your data will be there. Okay, so in the edges it contains, I already told you, cursor and node. Okay, here cursor is the object string and that directly placed in the page info. Okay, start cursor and end cursor. And the next thing is node. Node is a GraphQL object is equivalent to Salesforce object. Okay, if I'm going here edge, then I'm getting only one record because I'm given here first one. So in the node my data will be there. Okay, so whatever fields are given, based on that it giving the response. And the total count will give you total number of records is getting from the query. I'm getting in the query 2 records. Okay, so here I'm showing you these example in Alter GraphQL client. Okay, Salesforce is strongly recommending to everyone to use Alter GraphQL client because here the docs. Okay, these docs will helps to you to see the how they design in GraphQL schema. Okay, so I'm selecting here operation type query. In the query they have a two fields, UAP and rate limit. This rate limit will carry each API call cost and how much they given the limit and remaining and when it will be reset. Okay, it will reset every hour. Okay, so these details will be in the rate limit. Okay, and the next thing UA API. So right now we are using this API family to fetching the data. In that UA API there has a four fields: query, aggregate, object info, related list by name. So in the scenario, in the example scenario I took query. For suppose you are taking aggregate, okay, then its type is record query aggregate. If I'm giving object info, then the type is object info. Same like that other one. So here if I'm going to query, here you can see all the objects along with arguments. Okay, so for suppose I'm selecting account, it will show you what are the arguments and each type, I mean each argument along with type. Okay, if I'm selecting way, then its type is account filter. If I'm selecting order by, then its type is account order by, like that after and first. Okay, and this account is type is account connection and it contains three fields: edges, page info, total count. Okay, in the edges we can see node and cursor. This cursor information I already told you, right? You can see only in the page info. And the next thing, node. Okay, node is a GraphQL object. It's equivalent to Salesforce object. So if I am going here, then I can see all the account or whatever fields in my org, those all those fields I can see directly here. Okay, with API names. For supposing I'm selecting SLA, it says pick list. So SLA, if I'm selecting SLA, its type is pick list value. If I'm going here, I have a three fields: value, display value, label. Same like that. If I am going to create a date, so give me what's here. For suppose I'm going to giving created, then its type is date time value. If I'm going here, is type here is a we have a three fields: value, display value, format. And here they are providing scalar field types. These are the scalar field types. Okay, so in this GraphQL schema contains at least one scalar field type for each field type on Salesforce object. Okay, so when I'm defining dynamic variables, I need to provide scalar field type. That scalar field type will match original field scalar type. Whenever hitting that GraphQL query, it will cross check both the fields scalar type is matching or not. If it's not matching, you will get validation error. Okay, so and whatever dynamic variables you are defining, those dynamic variables you need to use in your filter conditions. Okay, if you are not using, if you are defined dynamic variable but you are not using, then again it will not understand, and it will give you a validation error. So I will show you the documents where you need to find these details. So just search. So sorry, I think. So GraphQL API, and here you can see all the guidance. So here they are giving you two ways to execution this GraphQL queries. One is Postman, or you can use Altered GraphQL client. But Salesforce is recommending to use Altered GraphQL client because we can access everything in single screen. We no need to again log in Salesforce and we can take fill API names. It directly can easy to access the API names in the tool. So here they're providing the steps. Just follow this document whatever they provided, and these all the GraphQL client will supporting Windows and Mac. And if you want, they are also providing extensions. You just click on add extension, then it will add your Chrome browser. Okay. So and then next thing is, so here they are giving you everything clearly. Okay. So if I'm selecting query, its type is record query and it contains fields. Fields is nothing but S objects. So here we are showing you account and how we need to define these filter conditions. And the one more important thing here is scalar field types. Okay, these are the right now scalar field types is available. Okay, and the next thing, filter is filter conditions. So in Salesforce, how we are giving the filter conditions like greater than or equal to or not equal to, right? But here we are taking words. Okay. So if is equal, not equal, any, and like that greater than GT. If you want to write semi-join or anti-join filter conditions, as you can write here also. Semi-join is INQ and anti-join is INQ. Okay. And here they providing one more thing. If I'm writing filter condition on string field, then we can add these all operators. Okay, so they are providing each field, each data type field, what are the filter conditions is supporting. So we just refer this document, then you will get a good idea. Okay, so the next thing, let's see the demo. Okay, so in Salesforce, suppose I need to write query on account based on two filter conditions. Okay, if any condition will match, I need to fetch the data. So one condition is straightforward. Okay, name is equal to is communications. The other condition is like depends on two fields will match, then I need to get the data. So here I'm taking one condition is and name like starts as and type not equal to null. The other condition is name is communication. How I need to write these query in GraphQL query. So here accounts, I am passing arguments. So I'm defining where, in the way the value must be in an object format. Okay, so I define object, and then I'm taking here r. Why I'm taking r? So here any one condition will match, I need to get the data, right? So I'm defining r. In this R will only support array. Each value must be in object format. Okay, so I'm taking name equals as communication. This is one condition. The other condition is on, right? So again I'm defining object. Within the object I'm taking and will also only support array, and each value must be object. So here I'm taking name like I'm passing dynamic variable, and again I'm taking type not equal to, any is the not equal to, and I'm passing dynamic value. Okay, here I'm passing my dynamic variable values. Okay, and after that I'm writing order by. So order by name, and operator is here order descending. And I'm also showing you here pagination. Okay, first I'm taking one, and after at the starting time we need to pass null. Okay, so once I'm hitting it, I'm clearing this response. So I'm getting the data, I'm getting one record, and it's a express logistics. I have two total count. So I'm just, and here I'm getting end cursor. Okay, so I'm just copying this end cursor and I'm passing in after, then it will give you next record. Okay, so this is how you need to perform your pagination by using GraphQL queries. So if I'm clicking it, then here I'm getting the second record with data, and here you are seeing, right, as next page is coming false because we have only, I mean, we have no more records, then has next page is coming false, has previous page is coming true. Okay, so we have a previous, I mean, one more back step is there, so it's coming true, and start cursor and end cursor. This is how we need to write where order way, or we need to perform paginations. The next thing, how we need to write parent to child or child to parent, right? So however you're writing in Salesforce, select ID name and comma, then you're writing child query and from account. Here I'm taking account. So here also I'm taking parent object is account, so I'm defining account, adjust nodes, and then I'm defining whatever fields I need from parent, I mean parent object. I'm just define those fields, and I'm writing query on child object. Okay, however you defining child object name in the Apex SQL queries, same way we need to define here. Okay, in SQL you are taking plural label, right? So here also you need to take plural label. Okay, if you want to write filter conditions, yes, here you can write filter conditions, then edges and node, then whatever fields you need, you just define those fields. Okay, so let's move to the child to parent. Okay, here I'm writing query on contact and I'm fetching parent. I mean here parent, I'm taking account dot name. So I define child object on fields, and I'm fetching the account name and account type. This is the way we need to write child to parent. And the last one more thing, semi-join or anti-join queries. In Salesforce, how you're writing select ID name from account where ID in, then you are writing child object query, right? So select account ID from opportunities where stage name closed one. How we need to write this thing in our GraphQL query. So here I'm taking a parent object here account, and I'm defining semi-join query here. So where ID INQ is the semi-join operator. Okay, so I'm define INQ, then I'm defining directly child object name and filter condition. Here I'm not writing GraphQL query. I mean, if I'm not here, I'm not writing any query. So we need to define the field. Okay, so once you define the child object and filter condition, then you need to define the field. Okay, which field basis you need to filter. So here I'm writing on account. So in the opportunity, the account field API name is account ID. So I'm passing here account ID. For suppose we are writing this child to parent or parent to child, or semi-join queries or any other things. Suppose we are taking custom objects, then how we are defining? If you are writing suppose account and we have a custom object, so I need to fetch the custom object in account child to parent query, I mean parent to child query. So how are you defining? Select ID name from child object. In the child object you are taking object name plural label double underscore r, right, from account. Same way you need to define here. Okay, so So here also you need to define objects, plural label, then double underscore r. However, you defining in Salesforce SQL queries, same way we need to define the object names here. Okay. So, and one more thing. So in the normal scenarios, so the externals they hitting the Salesforce API and the body they are sending in JSON format, right? So this GraphQL query, how we need to send in JSON format. So we have a 3 parameters query, variable, operation name. Okay, in the query, whatever you are constructing this query, right? And this query is just pass in the query. Here I'm taking, this is the one query and this is the second query. Okay, we need to write multiple queries, but whenever it's execution time, we need to specify the operation name, otherwise it won't execute multiple queries at a time. Okay, so here operation name you need to define the operation name. Okay, each query there has a unique operation name. Okay, so based on the operation name it will execute those related operation type. Okay, so here suppose if I'm hitting hit context, then it will give you then it will execute context related query and it will give you the data. For suppose I need accounts, then I just pass accounts, then it will execute first query. Okay, this query it will execute and it will give you the data. So and here variables. Okay, if you are passing in your query dynamic filter conditions, then you need to define variable and here you can pass the value. Okay, so here I'm declaring name in the variable and define name and passing dynamic value. Okay, so here I'm just passing the dynamic variable in my filter logic. So this is how we need to define the JSON in the API call. The next thing is here. So here one more thing here. So by default it's giving only 10 records, right? If you want more than 10 records, you just define in first. I'm giving 13, so I'm just removing this. So it will give you 2 records. Okay, because of this filter condition, so I will remove these filter conditions. So I removed the filter conditions, but I'm keeping the dynamic variables, right? So it's giving a validation error. Okay, so I'm just removing these dynamic variables. So I'm getting the data and I'm getting 13 records. Okay, so you can give up to 2000 records. Okay, it can give up to 2000. If you are giving more than 2000, then it will give you a validation. Okay, if you want more than 10, more than 2000, then you can build pagination logic in your requirement. Okay, so if I'm giving more than 2000, so it's giving an error. Okay, so yeah, data fetching exception. So these are the limit. I'm moving to next topic. GraphQL wire adapter. Okay, using this feature, you can access GraphQL API schema in your Lightning Web Components. So this GraphQL API schema will enable to you UA API supported objects with object level security and field level security for the current login user, and it supports pagination. So you can access data by using SQLs with functionalities like aggregating, filtering, and grouping. So, and we can also write parent to child queries or child to parent queries. and it contains client-side cache and data management from Lightning data structure, because wire adapters is using Lightning data structure. These features is enhancing the effective and speed to access the data from your web and mobile applications. Here the library is Lightning UI GraphQL API. Using this library can access this feature in your Lightning web components. So let's see the basic format of the GraphQL wire adapter. Here I'm just importing functions from library. This library contains two functions, GQL and GraphQL. Using to these functions, they executing the GraphQL query. This GQL is a JavaScript template literal function, and which helps to parse the GraphQL query in the format that format is using in the wire adapter. So this GraphQL is a identifying the GraphQL wire adapter, and the next function is refresh GraphQL. If you want to use in your requirement, then you can define this function in import. Okay, so this function will re-execute your query and it will give you data. Okay, so the next thing I'm defining wire. Currently we are using wire to accessing data in two ways, right? So one is Lightning UI API, or we are calling from Apex class. But now we have one more way, Lightning UI GraphQL API. So I'm defining here GraphQL, and then I'm defining parameters. Okay, here also same parameters: query, variable, operation name. Here query contains partial GraphQL query, and it contains group. It is a combination of GQL and your query. Okay, so we need to give this function GQL, and then you can define your GraphQL query. And the next thing, variables. Variables is a key value pair, and it passes dynamic values from your GQL query. And here Salesforce is strongly recommending to use getter variable, because wire adapter will react on the changes. And the last thing, operation name, you just pass your operation name here. Okay, these variables and operation name are not required. Okay, so if you want, you just declare those things. And the next thing, property or functions, it will receive the return value from the wire, and the wire will be written in the form of object with data properties and error properties. So here I'm taking GraphQL query result, and I'm taking complete object. Okay, so I'm just copying this object in JS value. Why means, in my scenario, if I need to execute refresh GraphQL, then I need to pass this complete result. Okay, so this refresh GraphQL, you can pass existing object, because that was already used in the wire functions or variable. This wire function or variable are preserved with wire adapter. So, and one more advantage of here is this GraphQL wire adapter will automatically store cache for executing queries. These will be improvise the performance and segregate your queries. Let's see the demo. So before that, I will show you how we need to write basic GraphQL wire adapter, how we need to implement in JS. So I will just show you the code. So here I'm just importing the functions and from library. Here I'm not giving refresh GraphQL API, because I'm not using in my JS. And I'm defining wire, then I'm defining GQL, GraphQL, and I'm defining query. In the query, I'm passing combination GQL along with your query. Okay. So here, however you're writing in our GraphQL query, same way we are writing here. Okay. So query, it's an operation type and operation name. Here I'm not taking any dynamic variable, so I'm not defining dynamic variables. Then I'm defining UI API. Here I'm fetching the data from Salesforce. So I defined query. Then I'm defining record query. Here is opportunity. In the opportunity, I'm just writing some filter conditions and I'm defining edges and nodes and defining the fields. Here I'm taking total count. And here I'm not giving the page info, okay, because I'm not verifying any pagination, so I'm not defining. And the result is coming that object with data and error, right? So I'm taking that. And here also, however, getting the in GraphQL API response, same format, here we will get the response, okay? Data, UI API, query, and then object and edges. Edges is a list of records. It contains nodes. In the nodes, there is a value, okay? So I'm just iterating the edges by using map, and I'm taking node value in the list. That list I'm storing in the JS value, okay? JS variable, sorry. So using this variable, I'm displaying in my front end, okay? So this is the I'm just last quarter opportunity I'm just taking and I'm displaying in my front end, okay? This is the basic uh, example for GraphQL wire adapters. And the next thing, let's see pagination, okay? So here, if I'm changing the amount, then my result, then my data will be automatically changing. So here I'm taking getter variable. So when I'm changes will happen, the wire adapter will reacting on the chain and it will giving the data. Same way, if I'm clicking next and I'm getting next records, okay? Here when I'm clicking next, I'm just passing the end cursor in the after, then it will giving the next records, okay? So if I'm suppose if I'm going to one of the account instructions, so I'm just changing the price. And I'm refreshing here. Let's see, it's refreshing. So give me a minute. Express logistics and transport. So it's automatically refreshing and it will giving the it will just re-executing the query and it will giving the data, okay? So this is how the refresh GraphQL API will be works. So I will show you the code. So here I'm importing 3 functions from the library, and here I'm writing my GraphQL query and I'm passing 3 dynamic variables. So one is minimum amount. This will be a whatever filter I build in front end UI, right? That amount. Okay, it's a currency. So I defined currency scalar field type is, and page info is a first and it's an integer. So I'm giving here scalar field type integer, and by default I'm passing 3. And in IND last is the string because after will is a scalar field type is a string. So here I'm passing first time I'm passing null. If I'm clicking next, I'm passing the end cursor ID, okay, current page end cursor ID. So here I'm taking page info, so I need to perform pagination, so I define page info here. And I'm getting here I'm taking the variables, dollar variables. Dollar is nothing but dynamic and reactive, okay? Whenever changes will happen, immediately the template will be reloaded. So here I'm taking my variables and I'm taking my dynamic values, okay? Minimum amount, page size, index lost. So here when I'm changing when I'm changing a front end, then I'm writing on change, and on change will be update my JS value, okay? So here I'm updating my JS value. Immediately the value will be reflecting in getter variable. Then wire adapter will reacting on the changes. So same way I'm taking the end cursor and I'm passing in the last index. Okay, so in the result I'm taking complete result. Okay, so why I'm taking complete result here, I am in my JS I'm including refresh GraphQL API, I mean refresh GraphQL function. So I need to pass this complete result in the function. Okay, then only it will be execute. So I'm taking complete result, and here I'm assigning data and error for the result, and I'm taking the data. In the data the records and total count and page info. I'm just storing these all things in JS values, JS variables. So this is the this is the quick easiest way to implement the pagination concept in our LWC. We no need to call apex classes, and we cannot, we no need to control those offset and limit values, and we don't need to call imperative methods. We just build simple GraphQL query, and we can pass the values dynamically. Then based on that, you will get the data. Okay, those data you can display in the front end. And the last thing here is aggregations. Okay, so here also aggregations. Currently, we are implementing. If I need the requirement to show you the aggregation results in the front end, then we are building LWCs, and we are writing apex classes, right? We need to get aggregate results, but now we don't need to write any apex classes. We can access these aggregate results by using a GraphQL query, and we can declare aggregates. Then you can define your queries. So here I'm taking two objects related data. One is cases, one is opportunities. So in the cases, I'm just grouping based on the status, and I'm taking count on case number. Okay. Same way, I'm taking group by on opportunity stage names, and I'm taking count on opportunity name. So this is the result. How, let's see the how we build in the JS. So in this query, I'm defining two objects, and I'm getting two objects related data. Okay. So here I'm defining my query, and I'm defining UI API, and I'm taking here aggregate. Okay. So if you need to fetch the data, then you need to define query. If you want to perform aggregation, then you can define aggregate. If you want schema related details, then you can define object info. Okay. Based on your requirement, you can define the field. So I'm defining aggregate, and within that the query logic will be same as query. Okay, so however constructing in query, little bit changes will be there. So here I'm defining case. Okay, and I'm group by and taking status group true, and then I'm defining edges and nodes. Here one more layer aggregate. Okay, so within the layer we need to define your fields. Here I'm grouping by status, so I'm define status value, and I need the count. Okay, so in Salesforce how you're writing, select status count on case number from cases where case group by status. Here we are writing status and case number, count and value. Then you will get the count. Okay, based on the case number. So once I define the cases, then I'm defining the opportunities. So I'm simply defining opportunity, and I'm just grouping by stage name, and here also we are defining within the aggregate. So I'm defining stage name, and I'm taking name. I'm doing count based on name. If you want sum of amount, yes, you can define amount sum of value. Then you will get sum of amount for based on each stage. If you want average amount, yes, you can define amount average and then value Or if you want formatted, yes, you can define format. Or if you want display value, yes, you can define display value. Three things will be come in your response. Okay. So value will just give you normal number, but if you are giving format, then it will uh, come then, I mean, the total amount with currency and with uh, formatted. Okay. So like the display value also. So this is how we need to write your aggregate queries. So let's see the limitations. So we right now this GraphQL wire adapter is a beta version, so we have some limitations, but let's wait for general available. I think they are bringing this in some spring 24 uh, release for general available, and they are also planning to release pilot version for this. So here some of the limitations, like once we are using this GraphQL query, we can't call in our namespace packages or whatever objects fields defined in namespace package, that we can't in our GraphQL query, and we cannot construct GraphQL query at runtime, and we cannot call in your experience cloud sites. So these are the some of the limitations. And here the GraphQL API, there, I mean, you will come as doubts like the limitations. So GraphQL query is the beyond same limits as SQL. Okay. So in Salesforce, however, we have a SQL limits. You can write parent to child, then you can define 20 relationships in a query. Here also same. If you are writing child to parent, then there is a 55. Here also it's a 55. But other than the adding the limitations is, or suppose uh, each query we will only get 200 records. Okay. And whatever objects you're defining, those objects will be supported by UAP supported objects. Those are the some of the extra limitations in the GraphQL query. So let's see Q&A. How many variables are passed? It's a, and I mean, based on your filter logic. So if you are, it's a not limited right now, but yeah, it will support a number of. So here in the GraphQL query, we can write all 5 objects in I mean, we can fetch all 5 objects related data in single query. That's the advantage of the GraphQL query. So we are reducing the round trips. What is the age in a query? Age and node is the standard syntax, and Salesforce has, I mean, so it's in normal GraphQL query. Oh, how the variables are passed in the request. So variables means you are expecting dynamic variables. Yes, you can pass in the operation name level. So here you can pass it your dynamic variable. So I'm just defining one variable.
Yeah, I think you already showed that in that lightning LWC solution, so I'm good with that question.
Okay.
Aditya, so another question which I had was about the filters, right? I
Yeah.
see, complex filters that we use in the GraphQL. Can we actually join with custom filters, without having any relationships? For example, if opportunity and contacts are not matched, not having any relationships, and still based on the name, I mean, probably, opportunity has some customer name, custom field, text field, and I
Okay.
want to get the contact data as well from that. So Is that possible to join based on custom field and then just like matching variable values, just like any database joining? I mean, obviously in Salesforce, normal joins work only based on the lookup and master detail fields, right?
Yeah.
So, but here, do we have an option of fetching the data based on flexible joins based on custom fields, text comparison, all those things?
Uh, Without relation, then you are defining two queries. Then we need to write. I mean, then you just pass those filter condition in two queries. Have you getting my point? Hello, Krishna.
Yes, you said you need to pass in both object queries, you need to pass that specific filter. Is that what you
Yeah.
said?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, if I wanted to actually get, see, first fetch all the opportunities and then based on the opportunities custom field value, I want to fetch some other object's data. Okay?
That thing is not
Not
working.
possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, any other questions, guys?
I think,
Shanai asked one of the questions. System instead of the leveraging the standard Salesforce API to fetch data from Salesforce need to use the GraphQL API. What is the performance difference between both the approaches? I mean the external system versus the GraphQL API. How much latency does GraphQL APIs have?
So, in the GraphQL APIs, I mean, we are reducing number of headings, right? So, we are whatever data we are fetching in single request, then we are reducing network round trips. So, obviously, compared to traditional REST API calls or other things, it will give you a much more performance, and we can fetch the data very quickly and effectively.
So you mean like instead of calling the multiple times to get the multiple
Yeah.
object data, using this one we can get within a single request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you are using REST calls, then if I need to fetch multiple APIs, then each API is a network round trip, right? So, it giving each additional round trip, it adds latency. But here we are accessing all these data in single request. Obviously, there is a much more performance compared to REST API calls. I mean, traditional REST API calls.
Yeah, right. Next one, Somnath asked, is there any repo where the code is available for you for us to learn? Yeah, definitely. I will reach out to you to get those data, and
Yeah,
then we
I
can.
will share those links. So
Yeah,
those will be
yeah.
very helpful.
That's great. I think we are running out of the time. There is no other question as well. Maybe we can wrap it up. Thank you once again, Aditya, for sharing such informative content. You covered most of the essential features for GraphQL API roadmap along with the examples, and also you showed the reference documents. Really appreciated. And also you showed how to use the tool like Alter and Postman, and also you showed the GraphQL with the LWC demo. This will undoubtedly helpful to everyone in understanding GraphQL better way. Thank you all joining, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session. Once again, thank you and cheers.
Thank you. Thank you for all of you joining this session.